Hello and welcome back to the Crooked Hour. In this episode, we're going to be breaking down a fight, Blood Diamond versus Orion Cosce. Not sure if I'm saying that right. This is a new season where I break down a fight, give you my thoughts, give you both sides of the story, and then from there you can make up your mind on who you want to bet on, what you want to bet on, just if you want to bet on this fight at all. This is a really good fight. It's a classic wrestler versus kickboxer type fight, but there's other things that will contribute in this fight that you will see. So when we take a look at the tail of the tape here, Orion 7-1, Blood Diamond 3-1. Orion obviously having the more MMA experience, but Blood Diamond is a prolific kickboxer. They're both the same height, both the same weight, but Blood Diamond does have a 5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Blood Diamond comes in at the age 34, while Orion comes in at the age 28, being the much younger fighter here, and I think that might serve him well in this matchup. Strikes landed per minute. Blood Diamond, we're going off his UFC stats here, so all the stats are out of whack, but Orion with 3.70 and Blood Diamond with 0.22 because in his first fight he was just taken down, controlled and choked out in the very first round. Takedown average for Orion is 1.87, which is a decent takedown average. Takedown accuracy 42, so a little bit under the middle, but he does like to chain his wrestling together, so I feel like that might be a problem because if he doesn't get the first one, he still might get the second one. We've got Blood Diamond with an 80% takedown defense, which will serve him well here. And in his fight against Jeremiah Wells, he did defend 5 takedowns, but then got taken down on the 6th, which he could not get back to his feet afterwards. And in the clinch, he couldn't really get anything going, and that's definitely a concern in this matchup. So when we take a look at Blood Diamond, his last loss was against Jeremiah Wells, UFC 271. It's kind of unfortunate for him because his teammate Israel Adesanya was hyping him up, and then he just came out there, got choked out in the very first round. And his fights before that were nothing great. I honestly think if Israel Adesanya wasn't his teammate, he would not be in the UFC. His last win was against a guy named Dimps Gillies, who is now 7-4. He's an Australian fighter in Eternal MMA. And even Gillies had good moments against Blood Diamond. And in my opinion, depending on the judging, that fight could have went both ways. And that's against a 7-4 fighter in Dimps Gillies, who honestly think if he went against Orion, he would get finished very quickly. And in the fight against Dimps Gillies, he got controlled up against the fence for a long time, especially in the first and second round. About 2 minutes of control time for Dimps Gillies, which is something you don't want. He even got caught, which, to be fair, he did catch Gillies with a head kick first, but then Gillies caught him with a lead hook that seemed to wobble him. He does have nice knees from the clinch, but so does Orion, which we'll talk about. And he doesn't seem to like dirty boxing, which is another thing that I think might serve Orion good in this matchup. Is Orion likes to throw these big winging hooks, and in Blood Diamond's fight against Gillies, he was getting hit by that type of dirty boxing hooks. And he did get taken down at one point by Gillies, who isn't a very good wrestler, and Gillies managed to grab his back, but good defense from Blood Diamond to turn it around. But when you're fighting someone like Orion, I don't really know if you want to be giving your back like that. He's got a nice takedown defense, and he showed that against Wells. And if you look on his record, he has a submission win against a guy named Hyun Min Hwang, who's a 0-1 fighter. It's something. It shows that he can do it, but against the level of opponent like Orion, I can't see him getting a submission. Now, he does have very nice teeps. I've seen this. Once he gets going, he has nice teeps to create the distance, but then he just swings unorthodox stuff that, he will throw spinning back kicks, spinning back fists, and it leaves him open to get taken down. He's too wild to be fighting a wrestler unless he gets a lucky shot that really hurts him, or manages to just really tighten up his game here. Now moving on to Orion, we have a strong grappler, very physically strong, sometimes uses his strength to his advantage too much, which we'll get into. He fought Matt Dixon on the Contender Series, and Matt Dixon actually had a reach advantage and was a massive favourite against Orion, but Orion managed to get it done by ground and pound. He crucifixed him and ground and pounded him into the mat. He does have nice knees from the clinch as well, like Blood Diamond, so if you ever see him in the clinch, don't be surprised to see them both throwing knees up the middle. He does like to throw the wild hooks like I was talking about before, leaves himself open, but could cause some problems, especially for Blood Diamond, who does leave his head on the line sometimes. He had a nice slam against Matt Dixon as well that honestly looked like Matt Dixon went out for like a brief second or it stunned him or something, which is something to look out for. He has a tight top game as shown against Rowe. Rowe did get the finish, but Orion definitely did win that first round, and Rowe didn't look too bad on the bottom, nice defense, but Rowe packs some power, man. Rowe packs some power. He does have minimal boxing, and he does like to start off with kicks, so don't be surprised to see him for a brief second come out, kick the legs of Blood Diamond before shooting a takedown, but I will say he will throw that takedown pretty early. And if he does get hurt, which he does, but he does have a pretty strong chin. He didn't get dropped against Rowe straight away. He took some big shots and managed to stay in there, and he does like to swing wild. He'll just swing winging hooks, which I think is a good thing against Blood Diamond. You know, he could get caught in between those hooks, but Blood Diamond likes to get up real nice and close when he's throwing those kicks. So if he's loading up a kick and Orion's throwing a shot, he could definitely clip Blood Diamond here. Now, if you're betting on this fight, if you want to bet Blood Diamond, you got to assume that his striking is going to get the job done and that he's made improvements in this time, which is my biggest concern if you are picking Orion. Because Blood Diamond does train with City Kickboxing, and as you know, Israel, Sonya and the rest of the guys have solid takedown defense. They train that a lot. They have good back defense. You know, they're very good defending takedowns and getting back to their feet. Between this time of 271, which was back in early 2022, I just don't know if he'll make the improvements that quick to be able to defend a takedown. I really think the UFC has done him dirty here, putting him against a wrestler. But, yeah, if you are banking on Blood Diamond to win, you've got to be assuming that his takedown defense is going to hold up, or that he's going to get a knockout early, or that Orion's going to slow down, which he does slow down, but it's not like a drastic amount. You know, we're seeing him in a really big back and forward fight when he was fighting Matt Dixon, but he managed to hold in there and win the last round as Matt began to slow down. So I wouldn't be banking in Orion to slow down here, because Blood Diamond himself slows down and gets really sloppy in the last rounds. And when there's a wrestler gassed and there's a striker gassed, I mean, the wrestler, all they have to do is get it to the ground and then they can just lay there. But yeah, if you do want to bet on Blood Diamond, which I will just be honest right now, I'd advise against, because everything I've spoken about, I just don't think it's the smartest pick. But if you want to bank on City Kickboxing for this fighter to improve his defense and think he's going to get the striking done, maybe you've seen something I haven't, I would be picking him by money line just because he is such a big underdog. He is currently paying 2.38, which isn't bad odds just to play a money line if you think he's going to get it done. Or if you want to go that extra amount, go TKO, KO. I just feel like if he does finish Orion, I feel like he's going to get it by KO. I think it's going to be hard to outpoint Orion in this fight, especially with the wrestling and the clinch control. I feel like it's got to be something where he hurts him and finishes him, and we seen last time against Philip Rowe that, you know, Orion can get finished, so that might be a choice from Blood Diamond here. If you're on the part of Blood Diamond, wherever you feel more comfortable, moneyline, TKO, or KO, that's what I'd be picking. Now, if you want to play the Orion pick, since he is a pretty big favourite at 1.59, I think that line's actually changing towards a more equal fight here. But I'd be putting Orion in a parlay or putting him by TKO or sub. He could grind this out to a decision, but the way Blood Diamond fights, I could just see this fight definitely not going the distance and either man getting a finish here. We've seen Blood Diamond get subbed and we've seen Orion. Man, if you want to see a nice finish, a nice crucifix finish, watch his fight against Mac Dixon. Bit of a tongue twister there. Because he just gets on top, crucifix, and pounds him out until he dies. Not dies, but is stuffed. Like, he could not continue. That was just brutal. And honestly, I could just see Blood Diamond getting caught in something like that, He's not the most crafty guy off his back, as we've seen against Wells. I could just see him getting pounded here, or maybe giving up his back where Orion can sink something in, because Orion, in his 7 wins, he has got 6 TKO wins and 1 submission. So he can get the submission, and against somebody who has been submitted before, you could think that will happen again. So I would either parlay him, which I think is the smartest choice, or if you just want to play him down, I'd go by TKO or submission, take out the decision, because I would be surprised if this fight went to a decision. And if you aren't comfortable enough to pick either of them, you can do what I'm doing and play fight does not go the distance. I will say as well, I am playing Orion in a parlay with Magomed and Kalayev. But if you don't want to play either fighter, you're not feeling comfortable enough to play either, play fight does not go the distance, because both men can get finishes, both men can get finished, and I think this is a perfect matchup for Blood Diamond to knock out Orion, as we've seen Orion against Rowe, or Orion to submit or ground and pound Blood Diamond out as he was submitted against Wells. So that's overall how I see this fight going. I overall think Orion's going to win straight up, but that's not to say Blood Diamond can't win. And if you want to ride that city kickboxing gym, you want to think maybe they can get it done, you're not completely wrong. And I wouldn't be surprised if Blood Diamond has made massive improvements to his takedown defense. But yeah, that's it for this episode. How to bet both ways. Now you know how to bet both ways, how to bet on this fight, you know a little bit more about it. Hopefully giving you the information to see if you're going to bet on this one or if you're going to pass on it. I'm just saying there's a lot of better fights to bet on rather than this one. But if you want to have a little bit of fun like me, sprinkle on close fights like this, go for it. Anyway guys, thank you all for listening and see ya.